For those of you seeing me with mic and things, please understand, I'm not yet in podcast. I have brought my friend here, Moji, Hunponu-Wusu, to talk about the things we should talk about behind the camera. Let's now bring it in front of you to the community so you guys can hear us chat. Moji is going to be at our Dang Fest 2024, happening April 6th. And I wanted her to come on to just touch on some things she will be talking about and other women will be talking about as well. So, introduce yourself.
You know me.
I know, they don't know you, so introduce yourself.
So, Moji Hunponu-Wusu, I'm the founder of Woodhall Capital, a financial advice company.
That's it. Let me tell you guys something. Let me tell you. So, you should listen to her, okay? Her company has raised around $4 billion. You know,
Showing me 5 million.
5 million. Hello. Don't shriek, sorry, apologies, because that between 4 billion and 5 billion, that's $1 billion. So yes, she's raised $5 billion for her clients. That's a big deal. So listen to her. She's going to be on the panel on that day as well. Shall we?
We shall.
Okay. First, what I also know from you, first is, remember that time? She said this behind camera, and I wanted to come and say it here. That time when we were talking about, Twitter went off on me for saying that for those of you women who have worked hard without having to compromise their self, please come tell your story. And people said I was slut shaming. That's the word, that's the buzzword, you know, for saying that women don't have to compromise themselves to get the job done. What did you say to me behind camera?
I can't remember, but I'm sure I was a bit shocked that people even had an issue with that, and there was a term. I didn't even know that was an option, that was a viable option to build a career. I'm still very shocked.
A viable option to
build a career, a sustainable career. I'm not even sure. I'm still not shocked that people were trolling you about it.
You're still not shocked, or you're shocked?
I am still very shocked.
You're still shocked that I was being trolled? Yes, because it said, you know, that's how some people want to do their thing, and I shouldn't, you know, judge them for that. I don't think I was judging, of course. I just wanted other women to know that there are other ways, right? But they said I was judging. I remember you went off and said,
oh. I don't think that's judging. I think that is preferring that there are alternative situations and making sure that people's personal situations don't become the norm, and that's the narrative.
Yeah.
So we hear you, you've had to do this.
Yeah.
But we are still standing in our space and saying there are other options.
Yes.
And there are viable options, and there are sustainable options.
Yes.
And we're not changing our mind on that.
I love it. We're not changing our what? Mind. Yeah. Because that's what people want to, they want me to say, it's not a, I stand in my position, it's not a viable and consistent, what did you say?
Sustainable option.
Sustainable option. What are the sustainable options?
Well, I think there are alternative options, and it's good that we all know that there are ways that you can make it. It's good that I know that there are ways I can make it, even in the finance industry. And I'll say this, I was trying to get a license the other day, and I thought, this is Nigeria, you have to. But I tell you, I got the license professionally. I didn't pay a single dime. I'm not going to mention the name of the agency. But I didn't even know you could get a license without paying. But I need to tell people that there's a way that
without paying and
without paying anything. We just apply.
Without paying and what?
We didn't pay anything.
I know. If aside from paying, there were other things that you could have done.
Yes, you could have done other things, but we didn't, and nobody offered it to us. Or nobody suggested it to us.
Yes.
But I'll tell you something. A lot of people don't know that you can get a license in the finance industry without anything else. I don't know anybody in that industry or in that agency, and we got our license in a professional way. And that was it.
Yes.
And that needs to also be lauded.
That's what I said.
Yes. So
tell your story.
Yes,
we're talking about you getting license and all of that. But let's go back to the time that you didn't even have the thought of getting a license. You were just trying to, first, let me make ends meet first.
Yes.
I remember when you lost your job at the bank. How was that for you?
It was big. And, you know, sometimes I pull back onto that, especially when big things happen to me now. Because sometimes I need to remind myself of where I'm coming from. And maybe sometimes I need to remember the journey It's very important. I couldn't afford to get staff. I got one staff who actually approached me and said he wanted to work with me. He resigned. He said, Madam,
this is not my duty.
This thing is going to work
It's not
out.
working. Yeah.
So he left. And then I remember I sent a proposal to a company. And they actually finally called me in for an interview, for a meeting.
Yeah.
And then they said, so how many people are coming from your company so we can prepare your tag at the lobby?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, two, just me and our head of business development.
Who was the head of development?
My driver. So I said to my driver, okay, here is a shirt.
Wear shirt and suit.
Sweetie, please can we borrow your tie? So we dressed my driver up.
Yes.
Gave him one of those conference bags that look like briefcase. And we said, when you enter,
Don't do him.
Don't say anything. Don't say morning. Don't even say good. Just say morning.
Yeah.
And then he followed. He sat in the meeting. I just said, just nod. And then my husband was asking, is he giving my tie back? I said,
Is that what we're discussing? It?
right now. So
You had to be creative. Took your driver into.
He went with me, wore blazer, wore suits, and entered the lobby with me, nodded, and sat in the meeting. And he was saying,
oh.
And then he said, thank you.
Did you get the job?
No.
Still, more proposals. Don't worry yourself. We have sent proposals to different companies. So I'm sure.
Yes.
What was your breakthrough?
Oh, okay. So there was a particular proposal that my firm had sent out, and the client rang and actually said, "Can I come and see you today?" I didn't even have an office, so my husband used to own this cafe in on the island, and I then said, "Why don't I buy you lunch?" So
Instead of coming to my office.
Instead of coming to my office, let's have more.
Yeah.
So we had this conversation in the cafe, and that client is still the biggest client that Woodhall Capital has.
Oh, amazing. Talking about getting your first business and then growing this big into raising $5 billion for your clients. How now? Do you remember? I was saying that I put you up on Twitter one time. I did. Now remember. But somebody sent it to you. Somebody sent it to you, and I put you on Twitter and said, "Oh, I have a friend. She's been married for 20 years. She's never cooked. She's too busy. She's busy. She's doing stuff, and she's never cooked in her home." And people said it's impossible. This is different. This is different. Has been married for 20 years and never cooked.
30 years. Oh, I've been with my partner.
Yes, you've been with. Never cooked. Happily married. Tell them.
I don't get to cook. I would love to have more time, not even only for cooking, for other things across the family line. So I'm not even zooming in on cooking. I'm zooming in on. Can you see that machine behind me?
Yeah.
I didn't even have the time.
Yeah.
So there's so many other things, array of things that I would love to do more in the family, but I just don't get the time. And I have to be true to my purpose, and I have to be true to myself. I love and I admire women that, have the time, and I admire them, and I, sometimes see some things and I wish I could do more of that, but I'm true to the path in which God has set to me, and that path is an entrepreneurial path, and there's sacrifices to be made. And somehow, I hope I'm not speaking for him, maybe cooking is not my husband's love language.
Yes.
Maybe
Has he
there are other
complained in
things.
all those years? Never
Never
complained.
Maybe it's not his love language.
Yes.
Maybe he has other things that I'm doing.
Yeah, I know. What was that? What?
No, sorry, it was my lashes.
Is that? I don't understand that part. Speak
So
good
maybe there are
English.
Things I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm funny. I'm a paddy for jungle. So maybe those are his own things that his thing, right? But then there are women that maybe that's your husband's thing. So make your husband happy if that's your thing, and he's doing things that make you happy.
But there are women who that's their husband's thing, right? But then they grow this huge business like yours or other women who have grown, and then they travel a lot. They come home, they're tired. What happens to that love language?
Okay, so for me, I think communication. If you're tired, you're tired, and if your husband has been following you through
your journey.
Your journey. So yesterday we had this conference, and in between I was sending him pictures, talking to him about it. I was saying, look, there's a deal that looks like it has come out of this. So I had to go and see the client after, and then I went to see my godson, who I haven't seen, and I came back home at 2 a.m. I'm sending him pictures, and I video called him to speak to my godson also.
Yeah.
And we're going through the journey to that. I'm carrying him along. And I'm not doing the whole, I'm successful, you're in the outside world. Because if there's a disconnection, then there'll be expectations that are not reasonable. But if he's following through, Harry, speak to your godfather, and all of those things, and I come back at 2 o'clock, it's clear that there's no space for
all
food
of that.
making at that time, you know. So that's what I think, communication.
So this means that there are misconceptions when it comes to women who are successful women, right? What do you think? Because for me, there are so many things that I feel like people feel like a woman who is doing well, who is successful, who has money, and again, success, of course, is relative. So I'm going to like dial it right down to actual having money, because it seems to me that Nigerian men are stuck on women that have money. Recently, let me just tell you.
Like, wow.
She's one of the people who's always stressing me. Ife, when are you getting married? Now she's one of them. So if you're looking for the people that tell you stress me, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? She's always stressing me out about that. For to be married with kids and thriving financially, how do you balance all of that? Motherhood especially.
Ife, when are you getting married?
Now it is here.
You know what?
Can we move on?
She's such a friend. You're such a friend to me, and I call you in the evening with gist and all of those things. Marriage for me is not the status thing.
Yeah.
It's this friendship that we have.
Yeah.
Going out there, dropping proposals, some being taken on, some not being taken on. Coming back home and just having that party that you can say, don't mind that Mr. Agency.
Yeah.
I had to call him sir. And somebody that you can just, distress with in the evening and just close your door, take off your lashes, take off your wig, and just break
Have
it down.
someone there.
Didn't go through. So
Yeah.
what should I do now? I don't even have this money. So should I take the 200 and tell them to give me time to pay the 300 and the 100? You need a mixer. You need a friend. And we all do.
Yeah.
For some people, it will be their best friend, then their best girlfriend, or their best guy friend. But I tell you something, there's no place like a good marriage with a good friend, with a good guy, that you can just... But there isn't. Should I lie?
I not say you should lie, but you're still selling it to me. That's what you're doing.
You're saying hurry up. And
That's what you're doing.
Season
You're
that you
selling
give us
it.
on this community.
What season is that?
This one you say he's around. He's not around. He's in town. He sent flowers. He didn't send flowers. Marry already. Let's know.
Okay. I said motherhood. You see the question I asked her.
How did we
she
get
has
here?
got. You went back to marriage is the best. I said, how
Motherhood.
do you balance motherhood with all this work that you're doing at this time?
So communication, right? So
With your
I
kids.
communicate to my kids. So we do videos. I have a 17-year-old, and she now thinks I'm her friend.
Oh.
So she sets up her video in the morning, and she calls me when she's getting ready for school. She's in boarding school. And then we just, oh, mommy, da. She rang me this morning to talk about her sewing. She doesn't want to do sew and weave on again. She now wants to do a straightening thing for the Easter holiday and all of those things. So we become friends. And then my other children, I have 3 kids. And we just gist. They call me on video. My son calls me. He told me that he toasted 6 girls and they all said no. And so I'm trying to
Go
help
back
him.
there, please. He did what? Toasted how many girls?
6 girls.
Why?
And they all said no. So he was in a boys' school, now he's in a mixed school, so he's so excited, right? So he meets girls, he tries to sharpen his skills. So we're helping him sharpen some of the
Who is
skills.
we? Who is we?
Me and my husband.
Wait, teach us. Go back. How do you sharpen the
So
skills?
we're just saying to him, say please, say you look nice. I like clean cut guys.
Yeah.
What kind of guys do you like?
Clean cut, but with beard.
Oh, with beard.
Yes.
Uh-huh. So, so we're trying to tell him, cut your hair, comb it out, and, stop licking your lips. And just,
He licks his lips.
cool.
I think those. I think those young boys now think they have to do.
Yes,
and then
exactly,
lick the
my son
lip.
does
Yeah.
that. So stop licking your lips, be confident, don't be overconfident, don't boast.
Yeah.
Be confident and be self-assured, and walk up to the girl and show that her answer matters to you. So we're trying to help him soften some of those,
So those
and
skills.
sharpen some others.
Yes. Love it.
Yes,
6
good.
girls. Let me tell you something about men. You didn't hear them? 6 girls. How old is he right now?
He's 14 in a few weeks.
For God's sake. 6.
No, but differently. So one, he asked one out. She said no. So he moved on and asked another one. She said no.
Yeah.
He moved on and asked. It's becoming a lot.
Yes, he's 14. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this. Okay. Yeah. Again, like I say to men, they are something else. From that age, 6 girls. And you know what? At the end of the day, this is what we always say. More men should listen to women on what they want so that you don't get 6 girls and they say, no, see, because you don't know how to sharpen. So thank you very much for helping us to sharpen his skills. I'm sure the next one,
hopefully he
will get it right. Imposter syndrome, you've mentioned that in marriage. Do you get that at work, like in your business? Like, how am I here? Am I even deserving of this? Do you get that?
Yes, all the time. So first of all, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. So my mother is an entrepreneur, and you met my mom.
Yeah.
She's trying to build a refinery.
No.
Right? Yes.
And,
so they did the launch.
I think she mentioned in Nigeria.
Yes, they did a launch a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I come from an entrepreneurial family, and I saw the ups and downs of business, so it scared me. So I really wanted to be corporate.
Yeah.
I wanted to rise. I wanted the title. I worked at investment banks in London.
Mm-hmm.
So every investment banker's goal is to be global head of So that was my dream. And then, I lost my job. I had to go into business. And when certain things happen to me now, I feel like I'm too small for this to be happening to me. Maybe if I didn't have this, I would have done a whole lot more. Yeah. But I had to go through the path that God destined for me. Mm-hmm. So I always have imposter syndrome all the time. And I'm in some rooms, I'm thinking, wow, should this be happening to me? Or why is this happening to me? Or how did I get here? And all the time. And, I just keep it moving.
So that's weird, because despite this imposter syndrome, when we gist and talk, I'm hearing you doing greater and greater things, right? So how do you overcome that imposter syndrome to continue to just keep going and get bigger?
I wasn't going to say this, but this year I took a massive decision in intentionally surrounding myself with certain people and removing the people who trigger my imposter syndrome, right? And I was very intentional about it. And I realized that there are certain things I'm trying to do this year that if I have people around who even in their eyes, I can see that they are also saying you shouldn't be here.
Remember the other day, guys, let me just tell you. The other day, in this room here, we were having a comment, and she said, guess what? I'm doing this and that. And I said, go, girl. She said, really? I was like, huh? Why are you saying really?
Yes, exactly.
What do you mean by really? You're already doing it. Why are you looking?
I know.
And that was shocking to me. Like, I believed so much. Like, in fact, I thought you had, just done it and moved. And she said, really?
Yes.
And I was shocked.
And you'll be shocked the amount of people who the world here is successful, but in terms of having that echoing voice surrounding them.
That says you can do it, you're capable.
If you're discerning like me, you can see the why her, why you, why.
Yeah.
But you can also be intentional to remove those people, and then intentional about surrounding yourself with people that in their eyes you can see, remove.
Yeah, let's do it.
How are we doing this?
Yeah.
How can we do this? I have a client, and God bless his soul. Every single thing I say to him that I'm trying to do, he will say, so when are we going to get it? Yeah. So this is how we should do it.
I love it.
And I just, passed by the person's office to discuss this thing in my head. He takes it from this thing to we. And that is an echoing voice. So it dispels this imposter syndrome immediately. And I think more people should embrace that. Yeah. So, the people that you already have it, you're already thinking, I shouldn't be doing this. This is too much for me. This, it's supposed to be for the big people. Yes. And then if you surround yourself with people, you can see it in their eyes, regardless of what they say. I'm so happy for you.
You're on. You're on.
If you're intentional about it, and then you then surround yourself with people who are echoing, let's move, let's go, let's do this. You then find that you're going higher and higher and higher.
Absolutely.
Along the path of greatness that you should.
Absolutely. This is what I also say again to women about not apologizing for the position that you find yourself in. We say all the time. And people who have known me will meet me and say, Ife, I'm sorry for saying sorry. Because women, we are so used to, sorry, can I speak? Sorry, can I interject? Sorry, can I ask for? And you find that many men don't ask you for permission. They just go. and they just go get it. So again, this happens to a lot of women, even successful women who say, I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be, and you're so spot on surround yourself with people who will not even allow you build on that thought. We can have the thoughts, but let's not build on it because of the people who will surround ourselves with. Talking about imposter syndrome and doing things afraid, tell me, what's the biggest thing you've done so far that even though you were afraid, you still went ahead to do it?
Okay, so there are a few, and I'm going to talk about them. But you know, have you seen our billboard on Kingsway Road?
Yes, I saw that.
I have a friend. She woke up one day and said to me, "You don't have a billboard. We are here." I said, "Oh, I want to be in my
with everything that you've done."
I don't want to. I don't want a light on me. I like staying in my place. I like there's an expression that we have. I like being under the radar. That one. It's such a cool thing to say.
Yes.
And so I like being under the radar. She was like, "What does that mean? What does under the radar mean?" Every single day, she woke me up and said, "I don't see your billboard.
Yeah.
Have you done the billboard?
Yes.
Have you done, oh, I want to be quiet. I like this way. I wear my space. I don't want to be out there." That's another one.
I don't want to be too out there.
Right? And she tormented me until I got that billboard on Kingsway Road. And I didn't sleep for 2 weeks.
Why?
Why is like
People will know about me.
I don't even know about you. And I realized that I had to get deliverance in my own head.
Yes.
Because those are limiting things that mask themselves under a cool.
Do you think it's what people call false humility?
Yes, but you don't know, it takes roots.
Yeah.
It takes roots and it becomes a reality. And you start believing those things because it sounds cool. Just when you go for coffee with your friends.
Yeah.
I've just moved back to Nigeria. I don't want to be out there.
Yeah.
I'm just under the radar.
Yeah.
I'm just succeeding. After all, in London, you can never tell a billionaire. A billionaire can be on a train and you will never know.
But the billionaire's business is out there, Sha.
Yes.
Maybe the billionaire is not out there, but the business is out there.
You then don't realize, you start
Shrinking
on that.
Yeah.
You shrink
Yeah.
because you're trying to be that version of people's success.
I can relate to this though so
and
much.
Yes, and you then don't realize you form a world in it, and then it limits you not only in your personal life, it then limits you in work and in business. That you're not out there.
Yeah.
And so I had to dismantle strongholds.
Yeah.
I'm also English educated, and so again I had to take out a lot of those strongholds because they can go and form in your head, and they can make you think that that's the only path to success. I'm not saying that's not a path to success, but that's not the only path to success. So it took me some time to dismantle and uproot some of those sayings, self-inflicted, by the way.
Yes.
And then come out bold, and we have that on Kingsway Road in the airport in 1004.
Amazing.
And I'm sure in several other places.
Yes. Again, I remember us talking about you going global. Did you see? I hope the camera caught. It's like, we finally did that.
Yes.
How was that?
You know, there are times where you have a plan. And first you need to see yourself as that. It's very important. So let me give you an example. What's a dream that you have? Let's say to own a home in Mayfair. One of the things you could do is start walking around Mayfair every single day.
Right.
Because
Like,
then you can visualize it.
do you know I used to drive? Do you know I used to drive?
Yes.
See, when I'm in the UK, even in Nigeria, like,
what's your dream?
Mr. Flowerman can tell, Chelsea, Mr. Flowerman can tell that I would drive on Ikoyi. I would say, I'm going for a drive. I'm going for a drive, and I'll drive around Ikoyi, my dream areas in Ikoyi, just to look at this
Do you do it Sunday
beautiful.
after church?
I don't even, like, I just wake up, like, whatever it is, I just wake up. Now these days, guess what I do? I'm checking out houses on Beverly Hills.
Wow.
I'm serious, that's what I'm doing these days. Because my head is going, where do I want to buy a house next? I want Beverly Hills. When I'm in the UK, I purposely stay in Mayfair. I stayed there just so that when I'm walking in at night, I'm looking at all this, and I visualize it in my head and put myself in there, because at the end of the day, our mind is so powerful that the moment you begin to think it, your actions begin to walk towards that.
That's it.
Because then you say, this is my dream, this is what I want, and then you walk towards it. So I can absolutely relate to what you're
So I
saying.
need to visualize
Yeah.
it. I, of course, started my career in the City of London. So the first place I wanted to go back to was the City of London. I left as an employee, and I was now going back as an employer. And so I would walk around the city. I would look at offices to let, offices. I was walking past the places where I was a graduate and
you would
applying for jobs, and I was back there as an owner. And so that was so mentally, formative for me. I had to do that. And I do that after church on Sundays. When my husband and I were younger, we would drive around Banana Island.
Should we stop?
We'll drive around Banana Island, we'll drive around different places, and we'll be pointing.
Yes.
This house is nice.
I know.
This place is nice. And you know what? It sounds funny, but you're forming vision that way.
Absolutely.
So we opened an office in London in 2018.
Nice.
And then in the middle of COVID, once you've done that thing, you get the bug.
Yes.
And you just keep going.
I want to open somewhere else.
That's what it is. So we opened in the DIFC in Dubai in 2020.
Amazing. So we're global now. Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
So again, I wanted to touch quickly on what you expect of women when it comes to owning. Because I know that these days, a lot of women don't mind owning, right? But I don't think that we take it as seriously, because I feel like men from when they're young, they believe that they have to own. Like it's a thing that they just assume that it's normal, or they feel it's normal. But I don't think women get that. I think women grow into it like, at this stage, let me own. How do we now make women start having that mentality of owning from even when we have kids or when they're young? Like it's your rights and you have it in you. What do you think we can do?
I think there's a misconception about this helpmate phrase. So that helpmate phrase, if you don't get it right with the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, you may think you're just there to assist, to be this helper of the main person.
Aren't you supposed to help?
You are, but you should also know that that's not the only role. So in a marriage, you're the helpmate. In business, God can give you inspiration to own your own thing, and you would have helpers and helpmates in that space, in that thing. So it's taking your vision, the way boys do. They just believe that I'm going to own. Guys believe that they're going to own. And taking that same self-belief and not misappropriating the helpmate to all areas of your life, right? So you're a helpmate in marriage. I'm my husband's helpmate. I'm his biggest cheerleader. Every single thing about me, even this conversation, is about making that man great. I have no other thing that I'm here to do. But in the business space, God has sent us to dominate and to own. And so I'm a helpmate in marriage, and God has asked me to go into business space and own and to acquire when He asked me to do that. And so I'm making sure I'm not misappropriating that role. We need to own. We need to own institutions.
Yeah.
And in that way, you can influence if you own, and you can change narratives.
Influence if you own, change narratives if you own. What was that thing we were talking about? How women are sometimes their own. What was that we were saying the other day about how women are sometimes their own nemesis? Or what was that we were talking about?
Gender bias.
Gender bias, absolutely. Yeah, we're talking about gender bias. We're talking about gender bias, and I said that my personal experience is that I have risen on the back of women till today and till tomorrow. Women like you as well. But again, we've had a conversation, and you said in your industry that doesn't really seem to be the case. And recently, you just chose a CEO for Woodhall Capital, and you chose a man. I was like, why didn't you choose a woman as your CEO?
Well, I'm value-based, okay? So I'm looking for the best women.
This is how rich women talk. I'm value-based, okay? I got to do the business, okay?
So I'm value-based. So I'm not trying to let women do less and then I'll pick them. I'm asking them to rise because I know it's in them.
So we're talking about equity and not equality in this case. Fairness.
Yes. So I'm asking women to rise because they have it in them. They're just as good. Women have first-class degrees. Women are doing so many amazing things. So we're not trying to do ojoro for you to be CEO so that we can say there's a woman. I'm value based, and so if there's a man there that is the best candidate, but what I would assure every single woman is that in Woodhall Capital, women will be in the room and you'll be given the opportunities
to rise.
Yes, and you'll be given the opportunities to rise. But when you get into the room, you have to
got to
be
do
the
the
best.
work.
You have to.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I'm not helping you. And in Woodhall Capital, I spoke to you about it.
Yeah.
We're looking for board members for one of our subsidiaries, and I've spoken to as many women. I want women to be on the board.
Yeah.
If we're allowed, we would even make it a women-only based board.
Yeah.
But it has to be the best in the game.
Yeah.
We want excellence, the spirit of excellence.
Absolutely.
And Woodhall Capital, we're always doing that.
Absolutely. Got that. And I'll find that in my DM, many of the questions I asked are, where are you making money from? And all of those is, some women do ask that question. So I actually agree with you that, there's a little bit of...
men are pragmatic and they're selfish. If they see value, if you can bring value, man or woman, they'll go.
They don't care. It
so you have
doesn't
to
matter.
understand that men...
Yeah.
If you're a woman and you're bringing value, or a man, you're bringing value, if you can bring value to whatever that man is trying to achieve,
he's not looking at
gender.
So are you saying there's no disparity when it comes to businesses for men, women? Are you saying that men don't choose men first?
I'm not saying that.
Do men choose men first?
Probably naturally, because women sometimes come with emotions and maybe they don't know how to deal with it.
Another problem is, do you think that what do you mean women come with emotions first?
Sometimes. I said sometimes.
Sometimes, yes. What does that, how does that play out?
So I think sometimes, like I was speaking to my makeup artist today, and she was telling me, I invited her to a corporate event yesterday, and she was saying to me, and she had to leave, and she was saying, and she was in the middle of, there was a bank empty, myself, somebody else, and my makeup artist, and I wanted her to be sitting in that room.
Yeah.
And she was like, I have to go. So I was scolding her this morning that when I bring you to a corporate space, I want you to sit there and just
why were you in a hurry to leave?
There. She's like, I have to go and pick my child. Then, they kill my and so we all have these things. My children are on holiday right now, but I'm here because I have to do this.
Yeah.
And so we come with all these extras, and maybe men know how to mask it a bit better. They'll keep it away, deal with what is in front of them, and then they'll go and resolve all these other things. So a guy in that situation, a male makeup artist, would have finished that meeting, whatever, and then we will start running helter-skelter. So
trying to resolve, that's the thing. Okay, before we talk about you being a community member, what ways do you advise women to save and invest? Because that's a big thing in our community. You guys know, we talk about this a lot. Save, invest, grow your money. That is a key thing for women especially. So what's your advice for women to save, invest, grow their money?
Can I have water? Oh, I like to save water. Just let me ask James.
Water. She wants water.
I always say this, if you're starting a business, you need delayed gratification. And I say this for women all the time. If your business is the kind of business that brings in daily money, you need a longer period of delayed gratification. So that holdback is very important. You need to save. Save so you can have bulk and you can do more.
Save
so
you can have bulk
and you can do more.
And you can do more. And then own.
We're still on this ownership thing.
Very important, very important.
I wanted to buy a present for myself for my 40th. I had the money, but I hadn't hit my savings targets. So the liquidity was there, but in my savings, I wasn't where I said I wanted to be at 40. So I didn't buy it. I bought it at 45. Right? When I had...
I know what she's talking about, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say. Am I allowed to say?
I'm not allowed to say.
Yes,
Don't distract me.
When I saw that thing, I did. I don't say... 5 years it took us to get here, but it's
so
amazing.
I then decided to get it at 45,
Yeah.
where I had the liquidity and I was over and above what I wanted to save.
Yeah.
So you buy it and you can breathe.
Yeah.
You want to be able to own the thing, and then the shakara is...
It's confident. The cat shakara is... Let's talk about, I don't even know how to ask her. She's a Dan community member. When did you join the community?
I must have joined about 3 years ago. And I remember somebody had forwarded something to me, and I remember thinking, this is the kind of girl I want to hang out with. There was strength.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you this? There was strength in character. And then I saw integrity in what you were doing. You said you still say your mind, even if your comment section is ablaze.
Yes.
And I wake up some morning, I'm like, she's still at it. She's still going with these people. Let's come off this topic.
Yeah.
And so I like people who have integrity and purpose. They're just being themselves, and they happen to be making money along the way.
Yeah.
So someone had forwarded me something. I don't remember the topic, but one day I went to book club. And I was sitting there with an older friend, and she came up and she was like, "I think both of you need to meet each other."
I remember.
And I don't think we left till like 10.
We were there just till late. I remember.
Yes, and that was amazing. And I go on the page so regularly.
Yeah.
I often think, let me even ask you, these stories.
Yes.
Are they real?
They are real. They are real. Yes, I mean they're real. And at the end of the day, people are just trying to unburden. They're just trying to unburden.
So therapy.
It's like therapy. It's a safe space, especially the Dan community is a safe space where people just want to unburden, be honest, and speak without shame. So I'm happy that we have that, and people coming to say these things, and knowing that it's going to be okay. I think that's the part of that amazes me till today, and I love it. It was so nice talking to you as always. We continue the gist behind the camera. Ciao.
Mr. Flowerman. Are we not talking about that?
No. We're not talking about Flowerman.
Why did we get through this?
Why do you want to talk about Flowerman? Where do you want to talk about Flowerman?
Okay, so...
Have you not met Flowerman?
Yeah.
Why do you not want to talk about him in front of the world?
I just want to see.
We are done. Cut. This is